Hi, welcome to So Fun in February of 2023. Some of you might remember Rosemary mentioned last month we're featuring a color theme every month. So this month my color is green. Kind of for St. Patrick's Day. Wasn't many other options. So I kind of went with a little bit of Christmas stuff. We all have Christmas fabric. If you don't, it's probably clearanced and you can still get some. So I made some Christmas things, some green things, and a few tree quilts, because what else is green? Just trees. So I'm going to start with this lovely thing here from Janine Babbage. It's called Let It Snow. We love her designs. Her directions are great, and they're so easy to make. If you have a big hoop, like on a Luminaire or the Icon 2, you can get all three of these designs, these little things, in one hooping. They're all totally made inside the hoop. They're quilted, the back is sewn on, the loops are sewn on, all in the hoop. And since we're going with green, I really wanted to try this OESD sparkly vinyl. So I made some green mittens here with the sparkle vinyl, and it turned out really cool. And then I'm like, well, we have white stuff too. So I did a white snowman and white ice skates with a sparkly vinyl. And then I also used a lot of metallic thread on this. So it takes about 15 minutes for each one to sew out, so really quick and fast. You just lay the vinyl down on here, it cuts it out, it sews down the stitching, you lay the vinyl on, it sews it again, then you trim it away. Or I actually use the scan and cut with both of these. Some of you always say, I don't know how to use my scan and cut. I don't either. So I played with it a lot this month. And guys, it's super easy. You literally cut out a piece, lay it down, and it cuts it for you. It was just amazing. And it cut the vinyl really, really well. And it saves a lot of time. You don't have to trim around with the duckbill scissors with that. So I love how this turned out. When I was making it, I did kind of goof up and did some wrong coloring. So I ended up making two of them. One's darker green and one's lighter green. Because you know me, I'm gonna make variations when they're planned or not planned. So this one I like better, actually. I like the lighter color. I used a lot of variegated thread in this, which I really like that look too. It looks a little stripey, but not really. But I think they both turned out really cute. And now I'm halfway, well, not halfway. I have a few things done for Christmas. So then this next project for Christmas is also an embroidery design. It's by Pickle Pie Designs, and they're pillows. You can make them in 6 different sizes, extra small to extra large, and everything in between. So I made these as 16-inch pillows. That's the biggest they can be. This takes a little while. It was about an hour to do all the embroidery. They have you do it kind of differently. This one, I kind of made the pillow up myself. On this little pillow, I followed their directions. They have you do all this top embroidery. It's all done in the hoop. Then you have the backing for this top part of your pillow. And it is lined, so you're not seeing the embroidery inside. So you have the top part all done in your hoop. Then you have the bottom part is done in the hoop. This is all quilted behind it. Then you put a pillow inside here, and you slide these two pieces together. You put snaps on it, and then you have your pillow. I wasn't wild about that idea. It took a little longer to make than I wanted to. I don't think pillows need to be lined, and I don't want to have to put 6 snaps on a pillow on this size to make a pillow. I don't want snaps on them. So I went ahead and just did the top part, did the bottom part, sewed it together like I would a regular pillow, and now I have a Mr. and Mrs. Claus pillows. So you can do it in, like I said, a lot of different sizes. It's about an hour each for the embroidery. I am going to be teaching a class on how to do the pillow, not necessarily the embroidery, but how to do pillows in the Littleton store. Check the website, they're listed. And I think these turned out really cute, and that's one more thing done. Plus, what's great with this, the pillow fronts were all scraps. This is like Sherpa fleece. Turned out really cool. A little bit of velvet for his hat. And this cool fabric on the back is at our Littleton and Colorado Springs stores. It's the new line that we carry. I just love these dots. All the polka dots on the pillows. So, a couple more Christmas projects ready to go. Then my next project is a cut loose press pattern. It's called mixing bowls. Remember Grandma had all those very colorful mixing bowls when we were kids, and they're just so pretty. So that's what they're calling these. They're made out of rope. So I used cording, cotton cording, for clotheslines, and I made a few. These things just kind of grow on you. So when they have you cut your strips, you use a stripology ruler so you're getting really precise cuts, and wrap the cording around, wrap the strips around your cording to make the bowls. So I made this one first. I didn't wrap any fabric around the cording. I like this look. It's really nice and plain and just one color. I really like this. I'm going to try and paint it and see what happens. I'll let you know. We'll post pictures after I do it. But I think this turned out really cool. I like the little handles I made on the side. Really different. Then I made this one. My daughter has a lot of plants in her house, and they're just sitting all over, so I thought it'd be really cute to make her one that would match her decor. It's kind of green, mint green colored. And what I did was use some of our Heat and Bond liquid vinyl and painted it on the inside and the outside of the bowl so that it would hopefully be a little waterproof, so when she waters her plants, it won't destroy the coffee table. So when you're doing wrapping fabric around your cord, don't sew all 20-some strips together at once. Sew like 2 or 3 strips together and wrap it and sew, and then sew a few more strips onto the end. You don't want to do all of it at once. It's just a big mess when you have 40-some inches wide fabric all wrapped together. Just do a few strips at a time. 2 or 3 works great. But this is my mixing bowls. And then since these guys kind of get a little addictive, I also made a purse. This is the same cording as this. And then I just did it all as one color, and I just did this strip of blue around it. And this is a snap. So it kind of closes up. When you're doing your handles, I just went round and round and round. Some of you might have remembered I posted on our Facebook page a few weeks ago. My handles were not the same length. I was like not paying attention. I don't know what I did. I didn't make them the same length. So all I did was cut it off the same length and just sewed it quite a few times to make sure it didn't unravel. And you can't tell that it was a mess up. So it's not like I'm going to use this purse a lot, but I think it's really cute. I am going to go ahead and Scotch guard it so that it doesn't get dirty, because you know this will be just filthy after a little while. But I think it turned out really cute. It would be okay to wash this thing because it is just cotton, but I love just a nice new springy purse that I have. And then all of my mixing bowls. So this next project is the top-notch pattern. It's called the Wren Blouse and Dress. And I just love the way this turned out. These sleeves I did a little bit differently than the pattern. They actually had you put a little band across the bottom with elastic on it. I tried that. It looked kind of juvenile. And I showed it to somebody. She goes, well, it's cute if you're 2. I'm not quite 2. So I took the band off and just made the nice little fluttery sleeves, which I like so much better. I made a size 14 on this, which is usually what I do when I'm making clothes patterns. This just super easy to make. I cut it out and sewed it up in an evening. Their patterns go from size 0 to size 30. So you want to make sure that you are using pattern tracing paper. I use Swedish pattern tracing paper to trace out the correct size and then cut out that, make any adjustments that you need to on that Swedish tracing paper. Then you can use the pattern again in case someone else wants to you know, you want to make a top for somebody else, or you lose a little weight or gain a little weight, you can still use your pattern. And Swedish tracing paper is a nice, thick, kind of tissue-like fabric-y paper that you can draw on, make all your adjustments, write on it what size it is, what pattern it is, and everything. So I love the dress. The top, I really want to make the dress too. I think it'll be just adorable. But that's the Rin blouse and dress by Chalk and Notch. So this next group of pattern projects that I have are by Sweet Jane, and they're boxy zipper pouches. I've always wanted to make one of these, never really had a pattern. And my daughter's going on a couple of trips, we're going on a trip, and I'm like, I need some new makeup bags. And, you know, put all the stuff in, shampoo and everything. So I'm like, these would be perfect. So they come in 3 different sizes. This is the biggest one. This is a medium. And this is the small. And they just turn out so stinking cute. They have you use Soft and Stable inside these. And while I love Soft and Stable, it is one of my staples when I'm doing quilts and stuff. Or not quilts, when I'm doing all my purses. It's a little thick for these bags. They work fine, but it's just a little much. So I did another one out of just 987 fusible fleece. And I think this one turned out much better. It's not quite as sturdy as this one, but it's also a makeup bag. It doesn't need to be super sturdy. So, but I like the way it turned out much better with the 987 fusible fleece. So I would definitely change that out. These little guys with a Soft and Stable were kind of a burger to sew together. They were a little bit way too hard to deal with. So the less dense fabric is going to make it easier. And then I wanted them to be waterproof so you could hose them down if they get dirty. So I use this liquid vinyl by Heat and Bond. I've used the Odie Coat stuff before. This is a little different. With Odie Coat, you paint it on, let it dry 24 hours, and then you do your sewing. With this stuff, you paint it on, wait about 45 minutes, you iron it dry, and then you can do that again. When you iron it dry, make sure it's no steam, and put like a pressing cloth, or I used a Teflon sheet over it, one of those things, Teflon pressing sheet. And it worked well, so they are waterproof on the outside. And then I also used the pull fabric. It's PUL. You can get it at Joann's and Hobby Lobby. It's what people use when they're making waterproof bags or when they're making baby diapers and stuff. So it's waterproof on the inside and the outside. Or it's probably more like water resistant, but that's good enough. So I think they turned out really cute. I'm definitely going to make some more. I'm going to figure out how to make it a little bit bigger so I can get shampoo and stuff in here. But I think they turned out really cute, and I just gotta love the green M&Ms. And I did do quilting on them. With these guys, you can't see it so much, but I did do a little bit of quilting on all of them too. So they're the Sweet Jane's boxy zipper pouches. One thing I also learned when I was making those, don't use those old metal zippers. They look really cute. They're a pain to sew through. So this next project I have is kind of a funny story on this little guy. So it's by Fabric Confetti. It's called Lucky Charm. It's all embroidery, and then you put the quilt together. I did use the scan and cut to cut out my shapes. Rosemary told you last month, Fabric Confetti does not do the typical tack down stitch for embroidery in the hoop, or applique in the hoop. You have to go back a step and repeat it if you want to do the sew it down, cut it around it, and then sew it down again. You have to do that twice with theirs. So I did use a scan and cut to cut out all of my lucky 3 and 4 leaf clovers, and the letters are not embroidered, or they're embroidered, not appliqued. And some of you might notice how the spelling is on this. This is what not to do when you're upset and sewing. Make sure you spell things correctly, because now I get to go ahead and take this apart and spell luck the right way. So luckily I used some of the right letters. They're just in the wrong order. But this was an easy project to do because it's just, they have you do all of the embroidery with like 5 or 6 colors. I just did it all in one color except for the lettering. But each letter, each block takes about 20 minutes, it says on the thing. So you all know 20 minutes is more like 30, 35 minutes, and there's 16 blocks. So this was one whole Sunday full of sewing. Luckily it was the Super Bowl, don't care that much about football, and I didn't have to watch it. So got it almost done, a little too tired at the end, had a little bit of an attitude when I was working on it, so we'll have to take it apart and spell luck correctly. But I think it turned out really cute. I posted pictures to my sisters, and 2 of them wanted little, just one block so they can frame them. So I think they're pretty cute. Just make sure you spell luck right when you make it. You know I've got to do something wrong when I do this stuff. So we have a few notions here. This little thing is called Oh So Clean. Most of our sewing machines now, a lot of them, all have the touch screens on the front. And those touch screens get a little dirty. And this is one of those microfiber cloths, so you can clean your screen. Drives me kind of crazy just looking at all of these little dots across your screen. So you can clean it with this. There is a couple of dusting brushes in there also. You want to keep your machines clean. Since machines are computerized now, you need to clean them a lot. You need to make sure those fuzzies that will accumulate when you're sewing, no matter how good you are with sewing, you're going to have lots of fuzzies. Make sure you keep your machine cleaned every 6 to 8 hours, depending on what you're sewing, so that the fuzzies don't get to the computer and your machine will still behave. So this is just a nice little way to keep everything together and do your cleaning every once in a while. This little book here is Pocket Guide to Sewing Notions. It just says if you're new to sewing or if you haven't sewed a long time ago and you're back into it now, things have changed. We have magnetic pin cushions. We don't use those little tomato things anymore. We have rotary cutters instead of scissors for cutting out our quilt blocks. There are so many different scissors that work great with different things. And this just goes over all of them, all of the different features for you. There's covers different kinds of gloves in here for when you're doing your quilting. So it's just a nice little pocket guide to kind of give away to someone that's new to sewing, that doesn't really know all the new stuff that you can go through. So this is just a great little book. And then there's also these little aptly grip things. So the rulers, I love the Quilter Select rulers. They have that some sort of coating on the back, so when you lay it on your fabric, when you're cutting your squares in your strips, those rulers do not move at all. Sometimes you're doing cutting with other things besides those rulers. These are like little tiny plastic dots that go on the back of your templates that you have to cut, and it makes it so your template doesn't move as easily on the fabric. So they're just nice little dots. There's lots of different sizes, so you can just see which one works best for you and put them on your templates. So that kind of leads me into the next project, which is my Up North quilt. So it's kind of hard to find green things when you don't decorate your house in green. So I'm like, trees are perfect for greens. So what's great with this quilt, all of these trees were scraps. And then it has this adorable little RV here, little trailer. And that was also all scraps. So really cute little project. Very easy to make. This little guy took a little while to sew, but the directions are really good. Pen and paper patterns, they're perfect. Their directions are great. They have labels for everything. They tell you what to cut them at, how many you need. They're really, really great directions. So it did not take long to piece this guy together, and he turned out super cute. But these trees are not a certain size. I looked through all of my rulers. I have 60-degree rulers, I have 10-degree rulers, I have 8-degree rulers, I have all of the angle rulers. These trees are not that angle. So you have to make your own pieces. So first I just had some template plastic, And I cut the pieces off. She has the things in here. I cut them in template plastic. And then I laid it on my fabric. I'm like, I can't see this. So then I laid this on a piece of paper and colored around it with red so I could see it when I'm cutting out my trees. So since this is template plastic and not a ruler, sometimes I was getting a little close to my edges. So then I just started drawing on my trees with a marker. So then I cut it apart with scissors. But these template plastic things, they wiggle a lot because they're just plastic. So I used my little Appley grips on the back of them so they stay a little bit better. So you do, one tree is like this, and then the side pieces go this way and this way, and that's it. So it goes together really quickly. Instead of doing 2 side pieces, what you can do is fold your fabric. You have so many strips of the background here. You can fold them together, right sides together, and just cut one set instead of doing a left and a right. So that's what I did. It kind of saved a little bit of time. But I think it turned out really cute. It went together super fast. Great stash buster, getting rid of all these greens and a tiny bit of red, very tiny bit of red. But I think it turned out really cute. And now I have another quilt for our trailer. Okay, so I was making my tree quilt. It's called 'Tis the Season, and I didn't count well. So I have an extra little pillow. This guy is the smallest tree out of there. It's a little 12-inch tree. So, well, I don't know what the size the tree is, but I made a 12-inch pillow with it. So, but we'll go over that quilt in a little bit. First, we're gonna go over this book. It's called Quilted Gnomes, and there's a few Christmas things in here also. I'm not exactly a gnome person, but I think they're kind of cute, and I do know a few people that like them. So I made this really cute. Instead of making a whole quilt, I just did a gnome wall hanging or table runner. So I did a couple of green ones, a little red one. This went together really easy. Again, everything, just label it when you're cutting it. There's lots of little pieces, but it went together really quickly. And I just did straight line quilting just across all my rows there. And it just turned out just adorable. I mean, he was just easy. If you don't have some nice flesh colored pink here for his nose, you could do a different color maybe and put a little bit of your own blush on it and make it a little flesh colored. But nice little gnome quilt or wall hanging. But they do have you make, I think it was 26 of these gnomes, and make a whole quilt with it. And then out of the quilt, there's a couple other things in here. These guys are cute little placemats, also gnomes. They're applique down. So you could photocopy the picture and then run it through your scan and cut and make those. So here's the patterns for it. So just photocopy that, run it through your scan and cut, and then you can just applique them down. If some of you are really bright, you can do it with the software and with the Luminaire also. It'll just automatically do it for you, which would be really handy too. I thought these were kind of cute, little gnomes in the little old-fashioned embroidery hoops. I thought they were kind of cute. And I love this little guy on the back. He's just a little sewing room gnome. How cute is that? So the one thing I really liked though was the quilt, but I just didn't want a whole gnome quilt. So what I did was make my table runner, and then I loved this snowflake block that was in this gnome quilt. I just thought it was adorable, and I just think it's so cute. So here's the whole gnome quilt. So I made a little snowflake table runner. It's not green. Snowflakes aren't green. They're blue. But I think it turned out great. These blocks, again, were not hard to make. They're small, but they're not that bad. And you're making the same one a few hundred times or whatever, so it's easy to do. And I just quilted it with invisible thread so you can't really see anything, and just did straight line quilting through here, so make it super easy. Sewed the binding onto the back, flip to the front, and it's ready to go. So the whole project, a couple hours for a nice little table runner. So really like that pattern too. Another quilt that I made this month is another 3-yard quilt called Quilts on the Double. I love the 3-yard quilts. Their directions are great, they're easy to make, and it only takes 3 yards, and sometimes you even have scraps. So we have this great Kimberbell fabric. We made it into kits for you, so you get the cute little village. I love the striped fabric, and then these coffee teacups and cocoa cups around it. So I love the fabric. It's just really cute. So this is going to be provided as a kit, 3 yards of each, or 1 yard of each, so you can make this quilt. There are 8 different quilts in here you can make. The one thing I change out when I'm making the 3 yard quilts is cut your border a tiny bit smaller and make your binding 2 1/4 inches wide instead of the width they have you make it. They have you do it as a single fold bias tape or bias binding, a single fold binding. And that's just not as strong as I like charity quilts to be. So I just make my border a tiny bit smaller, cut my binding at 2 1/4 inches, and then it's just going to hold up a little bit better. Turned out really fast. I literally made this during one hockey game, and that's it. The whole top, cut it apart and sewed it up during one hockey game. So really quick and easy to make. They're great for beginner quilters. Their directions are really easy. If you're a very experienced quilter, you can get it done in no time. So they're just great charity quilts. They're just great for baby blankets. Anything you need, these are a perfect quilt book to go to. So this is my next quilt. It's by the Pattern Basket. It's called 'Tis the Season, and I just love how it turned out. I used a jelly roll, and Lisa used this same fabric in November for her quilt, one of her quilts. So if you haven't used it for her quilt yet, here's another option for you. It took a little bit of time to make this, but it was not hard. You cut a lot of pieces out, and so they're all half square triangles. So you sew little tiny half square triangles onto the edges of these tree branches or boughs, and then you sew another big half square triangle on the top part of the tree branch, and you sew it together. So really easy. They have you do, I did it like they did. So different greens for each one. Using a jelly roll, sometimes you're not totally wild about some of your colors going together, but I think it turned out really well. I saved the gold pieces for the stars. I could make another quilt out of this. I have that many pieces left for my jelly roll, but not any of the gold. So you'd have to find another fabric for your gold stars. But you can make 2 quilts out of one jelly roll. So this did take a little while to make, but it was really easy. It's fast. Just keep everything labeled, keep it all sorted together, and you'll be fine. And she tells you piece A, B, C, D, E. So it's A, B, C, D. So just easy. Just watch the labeling and keep everything in piles, and you'll be great. And since I wasn't paying real good attention when I was cutting up my stuff, I still, like I said, I have a leftover pillow. So you get a little pillow that matches. So this is a 12-inch pillow also to go with the quilt. And I just sewed the binding on the back, flip to the front, top stitch it down. Fast and easy way to finish it. But I think it turned out really great. I love this jelly roll, and you might already have it left over from when Lisa did So Fun in November. Okay, so this last quilt that I have for you is called Ebb Tide. It's by Villa Rosa Designs. I don't have the pattern here, but it's one of those little postcard patterns, so they're really only a couple of bucks to buy them, about 3-ish or something. Their directions are great, and there's only like 5 or 6 steps because it's only on a postcard, so you can't get a lot of directions on a postcard. But I think it turned out adorable. Lynn actually made this. She's redecorating her house, and her colors are green, so she made a real green quilt for me. We have all of this fabric at our Arvada store, and really easy to make. A lot of fat quarters. I think it was 6 fat quarters, and then a border fabric, and then you bind it. So went together really quick. Great directions. It's a very pretty green, very nice and springy. We're going to get spring here someday, but not tomorrow. And then the back of it is this bright green here, and it's just a beautiful quilt. So I think she really likes it. She thinks it's a little bit busy, but I think it turned out perfect. So thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have some fun making some Christmas stuff. Get some of your Christmas sewing done. Do a few springy things. Hopefully we see you all at the store, and we'll see you in a few more months.